I worked the front desk at a Melbourne hotel when an American family checked in. The father studied our lobby like a detective. He pointed at our power outlets. "These are wrong," explained their Australian Type 1 sockets. He shook his head. "No, I mean they're installed upside down. The ground pin should be on top." I told him that's how every outlet in Australia works. He pulled out his phone. "I'm looking at the International Electrical Code right now. Ground pins go on top. It's a safety thing." I waited. He scrolled, frowned. "Well, this website must be outdated." His wife asked if I could flip their rooms outlets. I said no. He asked if we had rooms with American standard electrical orientation. We didn't. He left a review saying our hotel violated basic safety protocols. We had 847 outlets, all installed correctly, just not his correctly. If you appreciate this level of cross-cultural insight, the kind most people scroll right past, you'll want to stay tapped into these breakdowns. Smart viewers usually subscribe around now. A tourist in Sydney asked our museum guide why we kept getting the seasons wrong. She explained Southern Hemisphere seasons are opposite to Northern Hemisphere. He said, "But it's July. July is summer." When reminded about hemispheres, he replied, "Yeah, but global warming should have fixed that by now." I worked at a high-end restaurant in Bangkok. An American couple sat down and studied the menu for 10 minutes. The man called me over. "Your prices are wrong." I asked which dish. He pointed at everything. All of them. "You're charging 850 baht for pad thai. That's like $25. Pad thai costs $7 in America." I explained our restaurant used premium ingredients, and we were in an upscale district. He cut me off. "I've been to Thailand before. Street food is cheap. You can't just charge American prices because tourists are here. That's illegal," I assured him. Our prices were standard for our establishment. He demanded to see the owner. Our owner arrived. The man explained that price gouging tourists was against international trade law. Our owner, a Thai woman who'd run restaurants for 30 years, listened patiently, then said our prices were set according to Thai business regulations. The man pulled up Google. "It says here that pad thai costs between 40 and 80 baht. Our owner noted those were street vendor prices, not fine dining. He stood up. "This is exactly the kind of scam that gives tourism a bad name. I'm reporting you to the American embassy." He left. His wife stayed, ordered the pad thai, and tipped me extra. She whispered, "He does this everywhere, and these patterns repeating across borders is exactly what I track, so you don't have to. If you like being the person who actually understands why these moments happen, you know what to do." I drive a taxi in Oslo. An American tourist got in at the airport. "Take me to the city center, but I'm only paying what it says on the meter when we start." I explained that wasn't how fares worked. He insisted Norwegian meters were rigged because his app showed a different estimate. I told him the app used different variables. He demanded I start the meter immediately so he could document the scam. I did. He filmed the meter. "See, it's already at 115 kroner, and we haven't moved. This is fraud," explained that was the base fare plus airport surcharge. "Standard for all Oslo taxis." He said in America, meters start at 0. That's how meters work. I noted we weren't in America. He said meters were a universal technology, and ours was clearly broken. The ride took 20 minutes. The fare was 580 kroner. He held up his phone. "My app says this ride should cost 35 United States dollars. I told him the meter showed the correct amount in kroner. He tried to hand me 350 kroner. That's about $35. That's all I'm paying. I explained that wasn't enough. He accused me of not understanding exchange rates. When I wouldn't move, he called the police. The officer arrived and confirmed the fare was correct. The tourist paid, then asked the officer, "Isn't there a law against rigged meters?" The officer said yes, and our meters were regularly inspected and certified. The tourist left a 1-star review saying Oslo taxis refuse to honor American currency conversion. Out. An American woman came in with her teenage daughter. "I need Tylenol, the big bottle, 500 count." I offered her paracetamol in our standard package size of 20 tablets. She stared at the box. This is a sample size. Where are the real bottles? I explained that German regulations limit package sizes for safety. She shook her head. That's insane. How am I supposed to buy enough for our trip? I suggested she buy multiple packages. She looked offended. You want me to buy 25 boxes? That's ridiculous. I offered that most people don't need 500 tablets. She said it's preventive. We buy in bulk in America. It's smarter, I explained. German healthcare philosophy prioritizes different approaches. She wasn't listening. Is there a Costco here? I said no. She asked if I could order American-sized bottles. I said German pharmacies don't stock them. She tried a different approach. What if I show you my Costco membership? Can you honor that? I told her membership cards don't override national pharmaceutical regulations. She asked to speak with my supervisor. My supervisor, who had 40 years of experience, repeated everything I'd said. The woman bought 30 boxes, complaining the entire time. As she left, she said, in America, we trust people to manage their own medicine. Her daughter looked exhausted. I give canal tours in Amsterdam. An American family boarded my boat. 10 minutes in, the father interrupted my explanation of 17th century architecture. Why are all these houses so narrow? I explained Amsterdam's historic property taxes were based on facade width. He nodded slowly. Right, but why didn't they just make them wider and pay the tax? It's not like they were poor. This is Europe. I noted that was exactly why they made them narrow to save money. He seemed confused. But then you have to build up instead of out. That's more expensive. I explained that in Amsterdam's case, it wasn't. He disagreed. I'm a contractor in Arizona. Building up always costs more than building out. Always. I mentioned different regions have different economics. He shook his head. Construction costs are construction costs. They're universal. Physics doesn't change. His wife tried to move the conversation along. He continued. What you're describing would only make sense if land was more expensive than vertical construction. And that's impossible. I noted that in 17th century Amsterdam, canalside land was extremely expensive. He pulled out his phone. Started calculating. Even with expensive land, the math doesn't work. They should have built wider houses outside the city and commuted in. I asked how they would have commuted. He paused. Horses. I reminded him we were discussing wealthy merchants who needed to be near the ports and markets. He spent the rest of the tour quietly recalculating, muttering about European construction inefficiency.
I'll work at a Tokyo metro station.
An American tourist approached the ticket machine, studied it for 3 minutes, then came to my counter. Your machine is broken. It won't let me buy a ticket to Kyoto. I explained that Kyoto required a junior train from Tokyo Station, not metro. He looked suspicious. The map shows Kyoto right there, clarified. That was the Kyoto restaurant upstairs. He pulled out his phone. Google Maps says I can metro to Kyoto. I looked at his phone. He'd zoomed out so far that Kyoto appeared connected to Tokyo's metro lines. I zoomed in to show the actual distance, about 500 kilometers. He squinted at the screen. That can't be right. We took a train between cities in Germany, and it was like 40 minutes. I acknowledged that many European cities are closer together. He wasn't convinced. Cities are cities. They should all be the same distance apart. That's how urban planning works. I didn't know how to respond to that. He asked if there was a faster metro that went to Kyoto. I suggested the Shinkansen. He asked how much. I told him about 13,000 yen. He laughed. For a metro ticket, that's like $100. I explained again that Kyoto wasn't a metro stop. He said, then why is it on the metro map? I repeated that it was a restaurant. He looked at the ceiling directory, saw Kyoto Restaurant 6F, stared at it for a long moment, then said, your signage is confusing. He bought a ticket to Tokyo Station and left. I saw him again 3 hours later. He'd gotten lost. He asked if we had simpler maps for Americans. I work at a hotel in Foz do Iguaçu, Brazil, right near the Argentina and Paraguay borders. An American guest asked about visiting the falls. I explained they could see them from both the Brazilian and Argentine sides. He perked up. Oh, so I can just walk across the border? I said no, he'd need his passport and would have to go through immigration. He looked annoyed, but they're right there. I can see Argentina from here. I confirmed it was close, but still required border crossing. He said, that's ridiculous. In America, you can drive between states without stopping. I noted that states and countries are different things. He disagreed. Not really. Europe has open borders. I walked from France to Germany without anyone checking anything. I explained that Brazil and Argentina aren't in the Schengen zone. He said, well, they should be. South America should have the same rules as Europe. I told him international agreements don't work that way. He asked if he could just run across quickly for a photo. Strongly advised against that. He wanted to know what would happen if he did. I said he could be detained or fined. He laughed. For taking a picture? That's insane. I didn't laugh. He asked if I was serious. I was. He spent his entire stay complaining that South American borders are too strict. He never visited the Argentine side. On his last day, he asked if the view from Brazil was basically the same anyway. I said no. They're quite different perspectives. He shrugged. Good enough. He left a review praising the falls, but criticizing unnecessary border requirements. A woman checked into our Gold Coast resort and immediately asked where the kangaroos were. I told her they're wild animals, not usually in hotel areas. She seemed disappointed. But this is Australia. Where are they? I suggested a wildlife park 30 minutes away. She frowned. I shouldn't have to drive. They should just be around. I explained that kangaroos don't live in tourist districts. She said, in Africa, animals are just everywhere. I saw lions on safari. I noted that safaris take place in protected wilderness areas, not cities. She wasn't satisfied. Australia is famous for kangaroos. You guys should have them accessible. I offered that we had wild lorikeets that visited our gardens each morning. She said, I didn't fly 14 hours for birds. Over the next 3 days, she asked every staff member where to find kangaroos without driving. On her last morning, a kangaroo actually appeared on our golf course. Someone spotted it and word spread. The woman rushed out with her camera. The kangaroo hopped away before she got close. She came back inside, furious. See? I told you they're here. Why didn't anyone tell me they come to the golf course? I explained that was the first time in 8 months we'd seen one there. She didn't believe me. You probably hide them so people pay for wildlife parks. She left a review saying we deliberately concealed local wildlife. She gave us 4 stars. Though, because the breakfast buffet was surprisingly good, cross-cultural comedy never gets old. Every day brings a new, confident misunderstanding. A fresh reason why the world should work differently. Another American absolutely certain they've uncovered a global conspiracy. Tomorrow, someone will probably argue with me about why the Southern Cross isn't visible from Texas. If you want the next story before everyone else is confused about it on Twitter, subscribing locks you into the only feed that treats these moments as the cultural signals. They are not just funny anecdotes.